Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cryptic Crypto, the channel that gives you daily insights into the crypto market. Please like and subscribe, and remember that this is not financial advice, it's just my own opinion on the daily trades that I do every single day. So first of all, what am I going to run through today? Well, XCN, after a number of people have sort of keep asking me to do a bit more on that. I'm also going to run through CRV and CLanker, so some of my degen plays and some of my ones that I believe could significantly increase in value based off an alt season. And also SUI, to be fair, and just some general crypto news, because Bitcoin hit its all-time high again today. Absolutely smashed it out of the park, and I want to run through why, what I'm expecting next, and kind of go through there. So first of all, let's have a look at XCN. So XCN has been pretty much in this triangle for, my God, a long time, right? And everyone keeps going, when moon, when moon, when moon. Well, as I've mentioned before, we need Bitcoin dominance to drop, which it has been from that perspective, but we also need market sentiment, and we need a liquidity, which typically goes into the major coins first before anything else. So you would expect it to flow into the SUI, Solanas, the XRPs and the Ethereums prior to it, and FOMO coming into the market and pushing forwards. But XCN is primed for a move. Now, I've seen a number of traders, with this saying that, look, cool, we've already broken it. I don't think we have, to be honest with you, from that perspective. When am I going to get really bullish? When we've broken this top line of resistance, which we have hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Like, for me, the slanting line of resistance we need to break in order for me to become an ultra bull and go like, cool, we're going to be expecting some high price action. And when I mean high price action, it might not be what you want to kind of hear initially, but my targets would be around 3 cents, moving up to 7 or 8, and pushing into the sort of 10-15 cent mark. But first of all, we need to break out of this triangle, get back to around like 3 cents, and then push above it. But there are some sentiment and some things that I don't think people are taking into account, which I am incredibly bullish on. Because when we actually look at XCN, and we go on the Onyx protocol, one thing they've been doing quite quietly in the background, and I'm not going to connect my wallet, is they have reduced staking massively. Now, this used to be 35%, 40%. I know some people got in it way before me. And from that perspective, they loved the staking APR. Now, for me, what that does, as you can see time and time again, is that increases sell pressure. Because people are holding the coins, what they're doing is they're selling what they stake. 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 Now, with APR on your staking reducing, what it means is people are more likely to retain their coins, because they're not just going to be making 30% profit on that if the coin stays around the same price every single day. What they're going to be looking for is price action, which obviously increases the opportunity for people to hodl. And that's what we want. We want new investors coming in and people holding onto those coins. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to be, well, if it's on the APR and it's really high, people will hold their coins because they're getting 30% annually, X, Y, Z. That is true, but still, the majority, or a lot of people, have been selling consistently, and that kind of increase in sell pressure reduces the opportunity for the price to increase, because if the majority of the market is staking, and because the APR is so high, you can easily make your money back quite quickly if the price is increasing and you're just selling your staking. So every time the price goes up, people are probably selling some of those profits, and what it means is it creates this pressure which is really hard for us to resist, to break. And for me, lower staking APR will help us in terms of pricing, and that's what we want from an XCN perspective. We want to be breaking this, like back there we did, A, B, C, and we're now like consolidating, and the longer the consolidation, which realistically going back April, etc., and we've been in this asymmetric triangle since what, February, the longer that goes on, the greater the move to the upside, in my opinion, especially with all the bullish sentiment out there and the following that XCN has in its community. If you check out their Telegram, if you go on their website, if you watch my first video on them, I'm really impressed. So where does that leave me next? Like I said, for me, need to break, and then my next target would be approximately, 0.27 or 2 cents. So I'm English, so it's hard for me to actually, actually work that out. Where does that bring me in terms of CLanker? Now, CLanker, really happy about this kind of trade. As anyone that's been following me, I was picking up coins consistently at around, the $27 cents. So $27, boom, $27. These are my kind of buys. I'm like, cool, this is when I'm happy to buy. Yes, we've traded below that significantly. We've been playing in this, again, symmetric triangle. I'm sure people are going to get bored of seeing triangles, to be fair, but it's just like simple TA that I can show on here without going into Bollinger Bands and various different other tools in order to, see it. And it's pretty effective, to be honest with you, especially if you include like volume, etc., which I do, and macro environments. So we broke through this. Whee! Happy days. Hit here, like resistance, as you can see, at $56. Came all the way back down, broke that trend again, and are beginning to move to the upside. CLanker, for me, is awesome. I'm going to do a video on this. There's only 1 million coins out there, so if you have got $41 spare, it's not financial advice, but I think if you're looking at a degen play with heavy upside, considering that, when we were at the beginning, we were at $126, that's a 300% kind of gain if we just get up to that pricing again. And I believe the ceiling is much higher than that for this coin. And again, like if we look at it from a macro perspective and from that standpoint, and so we come up here and we look like cool with roughly, well, let's just do that. And we look at that from that perspective, $80 is our first line. $200, it's pretty significant. 320, 400, 500, and I do generally believe CLanker can get to $500 a coin. There's only 1 million out there, and from that perspective, it makes it much easier for the price to increase. It doesn't take a lot of volume in this coin, or much market sentiment to actually increase the opportunity of this price. And like I said, we've been consistently getting lower and lower and lower. And from that perspective, we've broken that trend now. We're moving to the upside. Our spot bag where we've been getting in that is around, well, $27 is where I've predominantly had my buys, and we've been trending up and up and up. Get into CLanker, have a look at it, do your own research and make your own opinions, but for me, I think it's a really good play. And CRV, heavily linked to stable coins, all built on Ethereum, the trading, networking, etc. and stuff like that. Doing a video on that as well, because CRV, what a coin. To be fair, look, cool. CRV, I've said multiple times, I think can go, $5, $6, $10 from that perspective. The price is only 57 cents. But look, we had this line of resistance that's been going across, which I've had set up for a while now, guys. You can see that we clearly hit it, bounced straight off it. We had this, obviously, falling wedge here. We've broken out, and we're moving to the upside again. Bullish, really bullish. So if we look at CRV and we look at CLanker, we've kind of broken those line of resistance. XCN, who I'm incredibly bullish on, we are still waiting for this to play out, and there's not really a lot of time left, guys. We are talking, beginning to break out of this, 16th, 17th of July, literally a week's time, either to the downside or to the upside. My viewpoint with the market sentiment, some of the macro news coming in, which we'll run through today, there is a lot of upside for these lower cap coins, which have a really good opportunity. And, if we went back in time, and obviously we looked at where we've been, even this year, I've got this top line of resistance here, we've been at, $1.34, almost 3 times the price where it is before. But where have we been at CRV? We have been, and I'm not going to go to the very beginning, about $6.85. We've obviously been higher when it was first released. But for me, we can easily get back up to those prices again. And if we do, I'm going to be incredibly happy. I've got an open trade on this at the moment. Like I said, guys, I'm doing the $500 to 5,000. Like and subscribe to see where I'm at. But one coin I really wanted to run through is Sui. Love this coin. Normally, when we're beginning to enter kind of alt season, it's one of the first moves. It certainly was in December. It moved before Bitcoin, and we saw a lot of heavy upside. We had a falling wedge here. We broke out, came back down. This is you know, came all the way back down to what, $2.28, and already we are up approximately to $3.40. Huge upside. And again, anyone that's followed the channel, I've only been up for 10 videos so far, you know, and all the trades so far have come off. It's not going to be like that all the time, but like if we're looking at this and the chart work that we've been doing, I haven't changed these charts. They're exactly the same. Obviously, when we move into higher highs and etc. and stuff like that, the chart work will change and the sentiment will change in terms of, you know, am I going to be selling? Am I going to be buying? What am I doing next? And you need to be obviously following in order to follow that journey. And if you want to see more of these videos, that's what helps keep me motivated, doing it on a daily basis. And just for your own thing, like I said, you know, the 500 to 5,000. Again, we've only been trading what, 10 days. We've already 120% increase. We've got over half of what we put in already down here on the right hand side that we could reinvest if there is any move to the upside. We've taken profits in some of these trades. Some of the SUI, we took a little bit of profit from that, but you know, we're 98% up on that trade, 43%, 35%, 20%, 23.73. 95% of the market does not, or traders do not outperform the market. A lot of the time it's better to just spot buy. I am obviously outperforming the market just for these trades, and I don't normally use KuCoin. That's why I kind of messed up. I had a stop loss at 100, or to take profits at 111,000. Thought it was only to take out like 10% of my trade. It wasn't. So, you know, I took a bit of a gamble because I was like, cool, it's only $40 odd, and if I lose it, I'm already up significantly. And I entered that trade like 111,000, but we made over $140 on that trade. It's just a bit of a shame that obviously stopped out before we obviously hit the all-time highs. And from my perspective, I do think we can obviously go higher. It's great to see we're 23.9% up, even from the trade entering at 111,000. But that was not the ideal, guys. That's a mistake that I made. So apologies there. Now let's look at Bitcoin dominance just quickly, because like I said, that is a driver in terms of when we're looking at an alt season. Look, we are beginning to break down. Now I will get ultra bullish when we break this channel, which I don't think is that one. I was going to say it's far too low. High even, at around about 60, 61. From that perspective, when we really break through that, I'm like, Jesus, if the price of Bitcoin remains the same or is continuing to pump and Bitcoin dominance is going down, that liquidity is going elsewhere in the market. And as you can see from SUI, it's looking like it's beginning to absorb that. So what is the news? Look, Fed board member Christopher Waller says the Federal Reserve can consider cutting interest rates this month. Bullish. What else? BlackRock is now buying more Ethereum than Bitcoin. Bullish. What does that mean? That means that people that are not retail investors are beginning, and big business are beginning to obviously look at some of the altcoins and go, actually, now's a great time to buy. Price action and the upside looks significant, and Ethereum's already over 2,800 on the day. Obviously, what, a week ago we were trading at 2,400. That is fantastic to see. Bring the crowd back. Follow Blockchain Backer, What Are Legends. If you're into your XRP, give them a follow. Tech stocks, industrial stocks, and NASDAQ hit all-time record highs. Crypto through the roof. Nvidia is up 47% since Trump tariffs. Okay, cool. He's taking quite a lot of glory here, but the fact Donald Trump is talking about crypto again, and the fact that his Truth Social is buying XRP, if you have XRP, bullish, massive. Cool. Upbit. I don't know what's going on in Korea, but my God, they absolutely love XRP. Another purchase, 925.69 million in terms of volume, and the heat map is up hit for 98.31. They are buying as much XRP as they possibly can get. And if you look at 50 million in Bitcoin short liquidations in the past hour, it was a couple of hours ago, but that's huge. That's just telling you that the shorts are getting wrecked. But that does bring a bit of fear, just if longs are piling in at the moment, right? Market sentiment is high. People are incredibly bullish. What that means is retail will begin to go like, cool, I'm going to I'm going to add, a trade here. I'm going to, long here. I'm going to long here. Much like I did with the Bitcoin, right? I'd already taken my profits. Unfortunately, a trade came out. Like my first target, as I mentioned in the video, was 114,000. Would I enter a trade at 114,000? No. I'd hope that we'd come back down to resistance and pop off. Would I enter a trade here on CRV at 57 cents? No, because my expectation, we could come back down before we shoot off to the roof. So, you want to make sure that you're not entering your trades at resistance, and you're trying to enter your trades at support or just below it. That's where you want to, at support, that's where you want to be. Again, another news article. Why is crypto going up today? Bitcoin hits all-time high, XRP at 2-month high, Ethereum and Dogecoin following. Look, basically this article says the move in Bitcoin 2.2% in the last 24 hours is not particularly noteworthy, and Howard, whoever Howard is, expects Bitcoin to continue around 110k plus minus 2% for the short term. The breakout came after Bitcoin's volatility declined significantly, a pattern that historically precedes a major upward moves. So they're basically saying, look, Bitcoin, I think there could be a bit of consolidation and then we move to the upside. I still think there's quite a lot of upside there, but we could consolidate for a while, and I don't think that's bad for your altcoins, because Ethereum rally leads altcoin performance. Just significant price action across altcoins today, and I appreciate some of you that are holding XCN are probably, it's not pumping. It's like, look, the longer we're in here, the better. If it pumps massively to the upside, if you truly believe in this coin, and you believe in its merit, and you believe in the community, and you are holding this, like the fact that it's not when Lambo, when Moon, the fact that it's not going up huge amounts, going down huge amounts, that's bullish. That's a long consolidation where we're beginning to enter the end of this pattern, where we're either going to have to move to the upside or move to the downside. And with all the macro information at the moment, it's more than likely that we're going to move up, right? Especially when we look at this. Look at SUI, 12.9%. Everything is up today. If we look at the overall, this is my favourites, obviously, we're at 4.1%. 4.2%, and the top 100s 3.7%. And like I said, the kind of small cap coins, generally speaking, you expect the larger caps to pump first when we're entering an alt season, and the smaller caps to pump second as liquidity slowly flows down through it. And not every single crypto is going to pump. I'm holding a number of different coins. I do not expect every single one to go through the absolute roof. Now, this is quite interesting, because in the alt season, it says we're still at 24 on here. But on CMC, it says we're at 28, which I don't know if this is just not updating, but I would say certainly with the fact that altcoins are generally pumping more than Bitcoin is, because the move for Bitcoin to go up was only 2%, and the majority of altcoins have gone up significantly more than that. Like we said, it's like top 100 as an average, 4% on the daily, with Bitcoin moving up 2%. I would say we are probably more up here, so I would probably trust this one a bit more, if I'm honest. I'm not too sure what it is, but again, we've had 4 points moving us towards that alt season that I know the majority of people listening to me are wanting. Look, we're beginning to push into that greed section. Greed is good. We don't want it going all the way up from that percent. We don't want extreme greed. Normally extreme greed is when you need to start selling, because that means there's too much market sentiment. It's too good. Everyone's expecting all-time highs every single day, and you want to be taking profits in that. But it looks like we're beginning to move into the sort of greed cycle. So there is a bit more market sentiment, which would be quite interesting actually if we actually look at Bitcoin Google Trends. Let's see if it's actually had any. Oh, brilliant. Whilst that's low, oh, there we go. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. Cool. Yeah, we have had a. We want to do worldwide, don't we? No one cares about just England. But look, we are beginning to see a bit more interest in the market. Like, people are beginning to take note. And that's what we want. We want more retail piling in. And I just thought I'd chat to ChatGPT, have a little chat, and see what's happened today. Bitcoin hits all-time high. massive institutional inflows in the ETF. So I put why is the price like pushing higher? Since spring, institutional investors have pumped roughly 15 billion into Bitcoin via ETFs, with daily inflows for Bitcoin around 218 million. Ethereum ETF reaching 211 million. This is steady capital reinforcing bullish momentum. Pro-crypto regulatory shift. Look, we saw Brad Garlinghouse literally speaking in front of the Senate yesterday. Massive. We've got loads of new acts coming in next week. Next week, I think, is pretty much crypto week, according to a lot of American politics. Political pressure and Fed rate expectations. We are expecting there to be rate cuts. Everyone's expecting it now. We're expecting Jerome Powell to probably resign, although I haven't seen anywhere actually confirming 1,000,000%. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen it. Short squeeze and technical breakouts. Again, we've been doing technical trading, so we've been seeing that significantly. XRP situation, it says it's the perfect storm. 6.6 million wallets, some are inactive, but it's rising. 2,700 wallets hold over 1 million XRP. 47.3 billion XRP, highlighting institutional interest. Not just retail, institutions are now buying XRP. XRP used to be the retail one where everyone goes into it because it was 20 cents, if people remember that, and the other coins were significantly higher. I remember Bitcoin, people talking about how expensive it was when it was like 3-4 grand. Now look at it, well over 100, 112, 113. What next? It's just quite interesting. Use ChatGPT. It does give you some information. I mean, if you look at price targets on ChatGPT, I don't necessarily agree with them, but it's just seeing that market sentiment, the fact that you can obviously utilize AI to give you some sort of market insight and give you a bit of information on the market. I'd recommend, when you are doing your own research, using absolutely every tool that you can. Again, guys, that was just a bit of an overview of XCN, CRV, CLanker, SUI, and the overall market. If you do want me to cover any of your coins or go into anything in more detail, let me know. Again, subscribe, hit the bell button. I'm trying to grow this community. We've only been around for 10 days. We're at 244 subscribers. I'd love to be at 250 by the end of the week. I appreciate that small when you look at a lot of the other channels, but that's where I'm at. But again, appreciate your time, guys. Hope you have a lovely one, and yeah, peace.